Hi, everybody. Welcome to What's Up Wednesday. I'm Heather, and I just want to say that I've missed my keto friends and family. I was off last week taking a much-deserved and much-needed break after seeing a fabulous concert, my hero, Stevie Nicks. So I was recuperating and taking care of some of my stuff. But this week is really important. So whether you're committed to this ketogenic lifestyle, or you're just looking to make some healthier choices in your life, food-wise, this is the episode for you. How many times have you gone to the store, picked up a package, thought it was a healthy version of whatever it was you were looking for, brought it home, only to realize later that you've been duped? If you have, don't feel bad because you're in good company. This is what I do. This is my realm. This is where I live. And I have fallen victim to it more times than I care to even admit. That's what makes me an expert on this subject, just because I know. So marketing is a multi-billion-dollar industry, as we all know. And food and grocery stores are where they spend a lot of time and money really kind of honing in on their skill of buzzwords and things that we're looking for and getting consumers to pull the trigger and buy certain things. There are certain buzzwords these days that seem to be more prevalent than others. Things like gluten-free, organic, natural, sugar-free, whole grains, just to name a few. And what I caution you on is just because it might say something like that doesn't necessarily mean it's healthy. I can't tell you how many times I've picked up something that was organic or gluten-free only to flip over the box after I got home and read the ingredients and thought, oh my God, I would not feed this to my dogs. A perfect example of that was I was shopping not too long ago and I was trying to get my teen boys a little treat. They had been, kind of bugging me for something sweet in the house. And so I bought Annie's organic gluten-free snickerdoodle bunnies. Those seemed like pretty harmless until I got home, and as I was putting it away, I looked over at the label and there had to have been 30 ingredients in there, 20 that I couldn't even pronounce, and 10 I for sure wouldn't even feed my dogs. So I told the boys, I said, this is it, you eat it, and this is done, we're not doing this again. So it's happened more times than I can count for myself. But I can tell you it's happened 100% of the time with my clients. Usually it's with things like sweeteners. So there's a lot of misconception, they'll say, well, what about agave, or what about honey, or, what about monk fruit? Are those good, sweeteners? And I'm like, no, that's sugar is sugar. But then it gets a little tricky. So what about stevia? Stevia is something I use in a lot of different things. But I'm very particular about the brand of stevia I use. And I'll tell you a story, and this story is actually a story that has happened numerous times to numerous clients of mine. And this is the stevia especially seems to be one of those tricky places. Do you guys remember when we were younger, for those of us that are in our late 40s, Sugar in the Raw came out. And it was like a big thing. All of a sudden everybody was, going for the sugar in the rock because it was supposed to be a healthier version of sugar, less processed. And so in turn that made it better. And I remember kind of being upset at my mom for bringing it into the house because that didn't look like sugar. I mean, like it tasted like sugar, I guess, but it didn't look like sugar and didn't feel like sugar. But we were all like, from that point forward, we're all like, oh, sugar in the raw, that's a healthier version of sugar. Well, stevia, the sugar in the raw has now packaged what they call stevia in the raw. And I find that a lot of my clients will opt for stevia in the raw as their stevia choice because they're familiar with the name and it says natural and it says, a whole bunch of things that are pretty in marketing and target all the buzzwords that we're looking for. But what most people don't know is that it's got dextrose in it, which is a form of sugar. and cause insulin spikes and everything else. So it's not stevia in the raw. Stevia in the raw to me would be stevia in the raw, like nothing else going on with that. Maybe it's not processed. Maybe it's, straight off the stevia plant. But that's the vision that it evokes for me. And I believe that that's probably happened to numerous people as well. I know it's happened with my clients. And the reason why I usually end up finding out that that's the stevia that they've chosen is because I'll be going through their food journal with them, and they don't understand they're not in ketosis, or they've gained a couple of pounds. A client of mine in particular had been making some plantain muffins, and she'd been using the stevia in the raw. Actually, she'd been using Truvia, which is another one. That's another tricky one. A different client used the stevia in the raw for another treat, and it was the same end result, which was weight gain and not being in ketosis. But what I had her do was, I had both of them actually go grab the boxes that they had, flip them over, and start reading the ingredients to me. And it was this aha light bulb moment for them when they realized that what they thought they were getting and buying and paying good money for was not, in fact, what they actually had. So what I tell people, and especially my clients hear this probably once a week from me, read the labels. Like, that is really the only way you will know truly what you're getting. So forget the fancy packaging and the wording and things like that. Yes, go for organic whenever possible. I also go for non-GMO verified whenever possible. But ultimately, what I am looking at is the list of ingredients. And if I am not familiar with an ingredient in that list, I have my phone, I Google that. So I have an idea of what is it exactly. Is it just a fancy word for something I would never put in my body if I knew what it really was? Like MSG has like 24 different other names, but you wouldn't necessarily know that unless you Google it. So the one thing that I want to really hit home with you is, no matter what kind of choices you're making for a healthier lifestyle, whether it be weight loss or health reasons, whatever it is, whether you're staying true to ketogenic or you're just trying to like really kind of just start making better choices, the very first place to start is at the grocery store before you shell out good money for something that you would never in your right mind, if you had all the information, would buy and put in your house to feed yourself and your family. Trying to figure out why this isn't working. 9 times out of 10, it's not working because there's something sabotaging you, and it's probably in that food. If you're eating only things that you're making, and which is kind of nearly impossible. I don't can my own tomatoes. I don't, pickle my own pickles, which I could, I guess. I just don't have time. Or at least I choose not to have time for that. But there's, so there's certain things that I do buy that are prepackaged, but I make sure now to read the labels. And the few times that I haven't read the labels, it's gotten me usually at the house, and then I'm trying to figure out, do I want to throw it away and waste the money, or do I let my kids eat it and hope that it doesn't do any permanent damage to them? So that's all I have for this week. But if you want to learn more about sugar and what brands I use, head over to the blog. It startswiththefood.com. Today it's all about stevia. But I also have a blog post back in July about olive oil. So there are things masquerading as healthy versions of our food all over the place. And we need to be the detectives to figure out what those things are and what are the good choices or the healthier choices, and then support those products. Locally sourced, organic, always better than anything else in my opinion. Quality counts for food for sure. So that's it for me for What's Up Wednesday. Next week, we'll have a recipe on the blog. And for those of you that have not had the chance to order the cookbook or the Ketogenic Solutions, your how-to guide to get started in the keto world, I have some copies. They were sold out on Amazon Prime. So if you're a Prime member, there's some in stock now, so you can get yours within 2 days. So get them before they're sold out again. You have to wait a week. I just got mine. They were sold out when I tried to order mine. I just got mine in stock. So I'll be throwing a launch party probably at the end of April. So stay tuned. I'll be talking more about that later. And if you have any questions about any brands of stevia or olive oil or anything else that you've got going on, just ask me. You can hit me up here on the thread, or you can private message me. You can leave a message on the website, on the blog post. I'm happy to have that conversation. I just want to spread the word. And you go spread the word to your people and your friends and family and have them spread the word. And pretty soon, marketing and packaging and label reading will just be something that we know to do. So take care. See you next Wednesday.